Part 61. God Level Tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Taido. Chapter 604. This space is a formation realm, and it is changing all the time. Li Hao looked at this formation realm, and he had already understood it in his heart. After the previous formations, as Li Hao's formation level improved, this formation realm could no longer stop Li Hao's footsteps. The next moment, Li Hao's hands kept forming seals. Suddenly, formations appeared one after another around Li Hao's body. Then, these formations merged together and turned into a realm with Li Hao's body as the center. Formation realm. That's right, Li Hao has now comprehended the formation realm. Although he has just comprehended it, it is enough to deal with the current situation. Afterwards, Li Hao directly operated this formation realm and went towards the formation realm that filled the surrounding space. Breaking the formation with formation. Boom! In an instant, the entire space was shaken. The formation realm on the first floor of the Tianxin Pavilion was shattered. The next moment, Li Hao came to the second floor of Tianxin Pavilion without any hindrance. When Li Hao saw the scene on the second floor, he was stunned again. The second floor of Tianxin Pavilion was like a herb warehouse, surrounded by rows of shelves, on which various spiritual herbs were placed. And in the center, there was a big alchemy cauldron. This is the second floor, where can I go to the third floor? Li Hao looked around and didn't see the entrance to the third floor. How to go up? Li Hao carefully sensed the surroundings again, and didn't find any forbidden formations. This alchemy cauldron is extraordinary. It would be great if I could take it away. Li Hao muttered again, looking at the alchemy cauldron in front of him, only to see some strange patterns on it. The patterns were several monsters. Next to the alchemy cauldron, there was a small table and a cushion. On the table, there was a yellowed book. Li Hao's eyes suddenly showed a strange color, and he looked at the book. Dandian. This is the name of the book. From the name, we can know that the book in front of us should be a book about alchemy. Li Hao's heart moved, and he couldn't help but pick up the book directly, and then opened it to take a look. Sure enough, this book records all things about alchemy, which should be written by a powerful alchemist, and there are some things like experience, and even several methods of refining immortal pills. Li Hao's eyes lit up again after taking a look. After just a few glances, Li Hao felt suddenly enlightened, and the whole person was like a revelation, and his understanding of alchemy was much deeper. Anyway, now that I'm free, I might as well refine some pills here. Since I thought of it, I'll do it. So, Li Hao didn't hesitate at all and started to work directly. Let's practice the methods of refining these immortal pills in this book. Li Hao used to be a master of alchemy, but since he became an earthly immortal and ascended to here, Li Hao has not refined any pills for a long time, and he doesn't know what grade of pills he can refine now with the improvement of his current cultivation. There is an alchemy furnace in front of him. Immediately, Li Hao did not hesitate at all, and directly activated the power of cultivation, and then a powerful spiritual power directly entered the alchemy furnace. Boom! In an instant, a flame rose from the alchemy furnace. Chi chi chi! The whole space became a little hot at this moment, and the flames wrapped around the alchemy furnace, and the temperature was rising rapidly. The next moment, Li Hao swept his consciousness and found the required materials on these shelves, and then waved his hand, and the spiritual medicine entered the alchemy furnace and burned directly. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Li Hao kept adding spiritual medicine to the alchemy furnace, and the whole person was immersed in this alchemy. Soon, the spiritual medicine in the alchemy furnace was refined by Li Hao and turned into liquid, and these liquids were the essence of these spiritual medicines. But this was not yet completed. Li Hao controlled the output of his body's spiritual power and continued to refine the spiritual medicine in the alchemy furnace, following the steps in the alchemy book. In this way, time passed slowly, and soon more than an hour had passed. During this period, Li Hao had been sitting cross-legged in front of the alchemy furnace, constantly maintaining the state of refining. Even his spirit was tense, and his consciousness kept paying attention to the situation in the alchemy furnace. Li Hao could clearly feel that the immortal power in his body was constantly passing away and being consumed, but Li Hao still did not stop. Li Hao did not know the grade of the pill he was refining at the moment, but Li Hao was sure that it would not be very low, so Li Hao was actually trying, and Li Hao would not give up until he had no choice. Soon, another hour passed. The flames were still burning fiercely in the alchemy cauldron, but Li Hao remained motionless. Finally, at a certain moment, boom! A huge sound erupted from the alchemy cauldron, and a strong air wave also rushed out from the alchemy cauldron. Bang! Then, a dull sound sounded, and the top of the alchemy furnace was directly opened. An extremely strong fairy power instantly filled the space, accompanied by a fragrance. This fragrance, just a faint smell, would make people feel refreshed. A ray of light flashed out directly from the alchemy furnace, and the things in it seemed to want to escape from here, but then, an invisible force was like a barrier, which shook it back. Seeing this, Li Hao also flashed out, changed his position directly, and came to the side of the ball of light. With a grab, he grabbed it in his hand. The next moment, a round pill appeared on Li Hao's palm. There were pill patterns on this pill. Even though it was caught in Li Hao's hand, it was still struggling. What a strong spirituality! Li Hao looked at the round pill in his hand and couldn't help but exclaimed, and used a powerful force to suppress it. The pill is done. This pill is called the Nine Heavens Mysterious Yang Pill, which is a very strong and yang pill that can greatly restrain the power of yin and cold. Moreover, this pill is a genuine immortal pill. Li Hao did not expect that he could actually refine an immortal pill, and this first time he refined it, he succeeded. Boom! At this moment, with the success of Li Hao's pill, a staircase appeared not far in front of Li Hao, in the empty place, and above the staircase, there was a light. Looking at this scene, Li Hao's eyes could not help but have a strange color. Obviously, the entrance to the third floor appeared. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 605. Li Hao didn't expect that the entrance to the third floor would appear like this. Just before, Li Hao had searched for it without a trace, but he didn't expect that he would come out after refining the elixir. Looking at the passage leading to the third floor, Li Hao didn't hesitate at all. He flashed and went straight to the front and entered it. Soon, Li Hao's eyes blurred, and the surrounding scene changed. He had already arrived at the third floor. Looking at the scene on the third floor, Li Hao was stunned again. This floor is like a blacksmith shop. In front of him, there is a huge refining furnace, and around it, there are some unknown ores and some other materials, including some monster bones and demon pills. There are also some shelves around, with some weapons on them, some of which are just embryo models and have not been forged yet. This is a place for refining. Li Hao couldn't help muttering. The first floor, the formation. The second floor, refining the elixir. This third floor, refining the weapon. I don't know what's next. Li Hao is looking forward to the future. However, let's get through this level first. Just as Li Hao was thinking this. Boom! 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 Suddenly, a deafening sound resounded throughout the space, scaring Li Hao. Then, Li Hao saw that in front of him, next to the refining furnace, a towering figure appeared. The figure was shirtless, like a giant, holding a big iron hammer in one hand, and holding the tool being refined in the other hand, and the iron hammer in his hand was constantly smashing down. And this deafening sound was the sound of the iron hammer smashing down. Refining. There is no doubt that the figure in front of him is refining. This figure is just a phantom, as if it once existed, and it is just a shadow in front of him. But even so, Li Hao still felt a supreme power from this figure. Boom! 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 The huge roar continued to resound, and every time it resounded, the whole world seemed to shake. Li Hao didn't know what this figure was refining specifically, because Li Hao couldn't see clearly, but just from the power, it was extraordinary. Moreover, as this huge iron hammer kept hitting, Li Hao's mind was also shaken, as if there was only the sound of the hammer hitting between heaven and earth. Li Hao looked at the scene in front of him, as if everything around him had changed, the whole world had become a world of melting pots, and Li Hao became extremely small. The huge iron hammer was on Li Hao's head, constantly falling, as if it was going to smash the earth, to suppress the sky, and to refine this world into a tool. Looking at this huge iron hammer, falling on his head, so close, Li Hao felt his scalp numb. Who is this person? He actually wants to refine the world. At this moment, Li Hao changed from a spectator to a person who experienced it firsthand. He watched the iron hammer fall down, trying to refine the world under his feet, but he couldn't resist. Boom, boom, boom. The huge roar kept ringing. And Li Hao's heart was beating with it. Li Hao used the power of cultivation to resist, but he was shocked to find that the power of this world was no longer for him. Boom! The giant hammer fell again, closer to him. Li Hao still couldn't resist. Seeing that the giant hammer was about to hit him, Li Hao still couldn't move. Crisis! A strong sense of crisis arose in Li Hao's heart. But the more this happened, the calmer Li Hao became. The more critical the moment, the more he could stimulate his potential. The next moment, Li Hao seemed to be suddenly enlightened. Since the figure in front of him was a phantom in the past, not real, this giant hammer was naturally not real, and the surrounding scenes were definitely not real. At this moment, Li Hao seemed to have found the key. Even though he saw the giant hammer was about to fall towards him, Li Hao still stood there, motionless, with a calm expression. Dong! 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 As the giant hammer fell, it was neither fast nor slow, but it seemed to have a rhythm and charm, and one hammer was stronger than the other. Dong dong dong! Another 3 hammers fell, but the next 3 hammers seemed to be continuous. Li Hao's spirit was also suddenly shocked. Is this a hammer technique? Li Hao suddenly found that the action of this figure swinging the giant hammer was like performing a magic skill. Li Hao's eyes were fixed on the giant hammer swung by this figure. As the giant hammer continued to fall, full of rhythm, one hammer was stronger than the other, and Li Hao gradually had some enlightenment. At this moment, it seemed that only this giant hammer was left in Li Hao's eyes. In front of him, this towering figure kept swinging the giant hammer, still unyieldingly trying to suppress this world under this giant hammer and refine it into a weapon. But Li Hao's feeling was different. It was like watching the person in front of him practicing Taoism to preach to him. I don't know how long it took. I understand. Li Hao's eyes burst into a gleam of brilliance, and he murmured. Then, a sword appeared in Li Hao's hand. Li Hao held the sword and smashed it down directly. That's right, it was smashed down, not chopped down. Li Hao used the sword as a hammer, smashing it down just like the shadow in front of him had just smashed down the hammer. Boom! As Li Hao's sword fell, the whole world seemed to shake. This sword contained supreme power. The sword smashed out, suppressing the world, and directly smashed the giant hammer. At this moment, the giant hammer that was about to smash down paused, but the trend of smashing down did not stop completely. Then, Li Hao smashed out another sword. The second sword was stronger than the previous one, and it also took advantage of the recoil force of the previous sword. Boom! This sword smashed on the giant hammer again. The giant hammer was finally blocked, and Li Hao's hand holding the long sword sent another extremely powerful recoil force, causing Li Hao's body to retreat backwards. But this was not enough. Li Hao recalled the appearance of the giant hammer falling just now in his mind, and he hit the third sword, the fourth sword, and the fifth sword again. He hit 3 swords in a row. Each sword was more powerful than the previous one, and the 3 swords combined, the suppressive force was already extremely strong. Li Hao's body was already hollowed out. With Li Hao's current cultivation level, using this 5th sword, no, it should be the 5th hammer, is already the limit. 9 Hammers of Heaven. The name of this set of hammer techniques popped up in Li Hao's mind. A total of 9 hammers, each hammer is stronger than the last. Bang! And as these 3 swords were slashed, the giant hammer was finally shaken away. All the surrounding scenes also disappeared like the wind. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 606. Li Hao's figure disappeared from the 3rd floor. When he reappeared, Li Hao had already arrived in another space. Feeling the surrounding situation, Li Hao's face changed. Is this the 4th floor? Is this demon energy? Li Hao said in surprise. What is going on? At this moment, Li Hao felt that the surrounding space was filled with extremely strong demon energy, the energy of the devil. The energy of the devil is different from the energy of immortal spirits. For immortal cultivators, this is a very evil energy, but for demon cultivators, this is their great tonic and the foundation of their cultivation. The bodies of demon cultivators will cultivate the energy of the devil. How can there be such a strong energy of the devil here? You know, this is in the Tianxing sect, and it is also the 4th floor of the Tianxing pavilion. Li Hao couldn't help but wonder in his heart. This Tianxing pavilion has only 5 floors in total. I never thought that the 4th floor was filled with such a strong energy of the devil. Li Hao just stood in this space for a moment, and he felt that his immortal power was consumed very much. This demonic energy was constantly eroding Li Hao's body, especially the immortal power in Li Hao's body. Li Hao couldn't help but use the power of cultivation to resist, but he could only slow down this erosion. The surrounding space was filled with endless demonic energy, even blocking his sight, so that Li Hao couldn't see the specific situation around him. Even if Li Hao used the power of spiritual consciousness, he was greatly restricted and couldn't penetrate. It seemed that the surroundings were all dark, and Li Hao was in endless darkness at this moment. Li Hao couldn't help but feel a little alert in his heart, and even a sense of inexplicable crisis. There might be a crisis in this darkness. Li Hao didn't know what the 4th floor was like, and he couldn't see the entrance to the 5th floor. Since he was here, Li Hao naturally wanted to wait until the 5th floor, the highest floor of Tianxing Pavilion, to see. Li Hao took a step and walked forward tentatively. But this time, Li Hao actually walked for half an hour, and the surroundings were still endlessly dark, and he didn't know how big this space was. And as Li Hao moved forward, Li Hao actually felt that the immortal power in his body was consumed faster. Li Hao frowned slightly and continued to walk forward. Then, after another hour, the surrounding magic power did not decrease at all, but became more concentrated, and in just over an hour, most of the immortal power in Li Hao's body was consumed. The next moment, a mixed elixir appeared in Li Hao's hand. Li Hao didn't have much, but he had a lot of elixirs. This elixir at the moment was one of the many elixirs that Li Hao had refined, and its only effect was to restore the immortal power in the body. Li Hao didn't hesitate at all and stuffed the elixir into his mouth. The elixir melted in his mouth, and Li Hao immediately felt like a clear spring flowing in his body. In an instant, the immortal power that had just been consumed in Li Hao's body became full again. After doing all this, Li Hao continued to move forward. Although he didn't know the specific direction, Li Hao could feel the changes in the surrounding magic energy. At this moment, the magic energy here was much richer than the magic energy in the previous place. Obviously, as he moved forward, he should have come to the center of this space. But at a certain moment, a message came to Li Hao's mind. It was not a prompt from the system, nor was it a message from other people, but a message from a treasure in the system world that was in tune with Li Hao's mind. It was the Star Demon Sword. At this moment, the Star Demon Sword in the system world was in tune with Li Hao's mind. The spirit in the sword felt the state of the environment Li Hao was in at the moment and conveyed information to Li Hao. It seemed excited. It seemed happy, and asked Li Hao to take it out. After feeling the information of the Star Demon Sword, Li Hao couldn't help but be stunned. I really forgot about this. This Star Demon Sword is a real magic sword, and it is also an immortal weapon. At this moment, the magic energy in this space is a perfect thing for it. The next moment, Li Hao did not hesitate at all and directly released the Star Demon Sword. As soon as the bloody Star Demon Sword appeared, it kept trembling, making endless clanging sounds, and was extremely excited. Seeing this, Li Hao did not stop it, and directly released the control of the Heart Demon Sword, allowing it to play freely. In the next moment, Li Hao saw that the Star Demon Sword kept shuttling around him, and then stood straight in the void in front of him. Buzz buzz buzz. On the Star Demon Sword, there was a shocking sword intent, and the sword was mighty. Then, Li Hao saw that it seemed that a strange power was emitted from the Star Demon Sword, and the rich magic energy in the surrounding heaven and earth actually rushed directly towards the Star Demon Sword. Endless demonic energy continued to flow towards the Star Demon Sword. The Star Demon Sword was like the center of the vortex, constantly swallowing up the demonic energy. Li Hao could clearly feel that the Star Demon Sword, which had swallowed up the demonic energy, was undergoing a transformation and becoming more powerful. The demonic energy seemed to have become a great tonic for the Star Demon Sword. The sword energy of the Star Demon Sword also became more fierce. The power of the sword also became more terrifying. Li Hao looked at this scene, and a faint smile appeared on his face. This Star Demon Sword seemed to be cultivating with the energy of the devil, just like human cultivators, it can also cultivate independently. Human cultivators can break through cultivation, and the Star Demon Sword, as an immortal weapon with a spirit, can also be cultivated, but for it, it is not a breakthrough, but an advancement. Before, although it was only an immortal weapon, it was only a low-grade immortal weapon. But at this moment, it is devouring these magic energy and is transforming into a mid-grade immortal weapon and a high-grade immortal weapon. In this case, Li Hao will be more relaxed, not hurried or slow. Let you devour enough. Li Hao looked at the Star Demon Sword and murmured. Buzz buzz buzz. The Star Demon Sword kept making sword sounds, as if responding to Li Hao. The next moment, Li Hao sat cross-legged on the spot, closed his eyes, and waited quietly. After a while, boom! A brilliant light burst out from the Star Demon Sword, and the powerful sword energy spread out, stirring up endless demonic energy. The Star Demon Sword was upgraded from a low-grade immortal weapon to a mid-grade immortal weapon. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 607. The Star Demon Sword has advanced and become a middle-grade immortal weapon, and the spirituality on its blade has also become more powerful. You must know that there are not many middle-grade immortal weapons in the entire Tianxing section. Even if there are, they are in the possession of some peak masters and elders. Ordinary immortal sect disciples, let alone middle-grade immortal weapons, there is not even a low-grade immortal weapon. And now, even though the Star Demon Sword has been upgraded to a middle-grade immortal weapon, it has not stopped devouring these demonic energies. The demonic energy around them seemed to be in an endless supply, coming from nowhere. After being swallowed by the star demon sword, it was quickly replenished. Looking at this scene, Li Hao was also happy. As the star demon sword advanced, his combat power would also increase a lot. The star demon sword still did not stop devouring the demonic energy. Finally, I don't know how long it took. On the star demon sword, the sharp sword energy came out in a mighty manner, causing the entire space to be enveloped by a powerful sword power. The extremely bright sword light continued to shine out, lighting up the entire space and penetrating the endless demonic energy around it. The star demon sword has advanced again, transforming from a mid-grade fairy weapon into a high-grade fairy weapon. It was at this moment when the star demon sword advanced. Rumble. Tianxing sect, above the sky of Tianxing Pavilion in the back mountain, the sound of thunder suddenly resounded, and the black thunder clouds covered the entire Tianxing sect and became extremely depressed. What is going on? How come thunder clouds appear? Is this a powerful person who has mastered a heaven-defying method and is going to overcome the calamity? It feels so terrible. Everyone in the Tianxing sect was shaken by the thunder and frightened, and couldn't help but let out a sound of surprise. Not only the disciples of Tianxing sect, but also the peak masters and elders were alarmed at this moment. At this moment, in the main hall on the main peak of Tianxing sect, there are two majestic figures, sitting cross-legged opposite each other, as if sitting on the clouds, playing chess. One of the figures, dressed in white, was clearly the leader of the Tianxing sect, Mo Tianxing, a powerful man in the 9th grade Xianxian realm. At the moment when the thunder appeared, Mo Tian, who was about to make a move, was startled by the sudden thunder. Immediately, Mo Tianxing couldn't help but frown slightly, and looked in one direction, condescendingly looking through the sky in one direction, and there was the forbidden area of Tianxing sect's back mountain. Faintly, Mo Tianxing could he saw a pavilion inside. Because of the restrictions there, even though he was the leader of the Tianxing sect, he was still unable to explore the situation inside. Because Tianxing Pavilion was passed down by the Tianxing sect over countless years, even this generation of pavilion guardians had to be called Master Uncle. The thunder came suddenly, but Mo Tianxing discovered the key directly. The thunder came because of something in the mountain behind. Tianxing sect is indeed one of the 5 major sects in Zhuzhou. There are so many talented people. This thunder comes at an unusual time. At this moment, the middle-aged man in black robe sitting opposite Mo Tianxing also had a glint in his eyes and said slowly. He also conducted some exploration with the power of his spiritual consciousness, but found nothing special. The other party had some means to isolate the investigation. The man in black robe is about the same age as Mo Tianxing. He looks like he is in his 40s or 50s. Even though he has restrained his cultivation power, he still gives people a very heavy feeling. And being able to be Mo Tianxing's chess opponent, sitting opposite Mo Tianxing, the man in front of him is naturally not an ordinary person. Then, the man in black robe looked at Mo Tianxing again. Sect Master Mo, how are you thinking? This game of chess has been playing for a long time. The man in black robe smiled and said to Mo Tianxing. When Mo Tianxing heard this, his expression did not change and he said directly, there is no need to think about it. Oh! When the man in black robe heard Mo Tianxing's words, a look of surprise appeared on his face, and he looked at Mo Tianxing again. He wanted to see how Mo Tianxing would choose. The next moment, Mo Tianxing was seen making a direct move. One piece falls, and the situation on the chessboard changes. When the man in black robe saw this, his expression couldn't help but change again, and he immediately said to Mo Tianxing, in this case, sect leader Mo, you are going to be in despair, I am afraid you will end up in defeat. The ending is undecided. It's hard to say who will win and who will lose. Even if I do lose, I have no regrets, at least no guilt. When Mo Tianxing heard what the man in black robe said, he said with a faint smile, as if he saw it clearly. He knew that what the other party was referring to was not something above the chess game, but something else. What a shameless one! In that case, I won't say anything more, and continue. The man in black robe said in a deep voice again, but before he finished speaking, his expression changed again. He took out a black jade tablet. The jade tablet was like a communication object. At this moment, some information was coming from the jade tablet. Passed on. Immediately, the man in black robe looked at Mo Tianxing again and said directly. Sect Master Mo, it seems that this game of chess cannot be played. I suddenly have something important to do. It doesn't matter, Commander Qin has his life on his side. Mo understands. I will keep this game of chess and play it again when I have the opportunity in the future. Mo Tianxing said calmly that the man in front of him was from the Yuzhu Immortal King Palace, one of the 8 commanders under the seat of the Baijian Immortal King, and a powerful figure of the 8th grade Xianxian. This guy came here this time, in fact, he came here on the order of the Immortal King, wanting to let the Tianxing sect also belong to the Baijian Immortal King. But obviously, Mo Tianxing refused. And the Baijian Immortal King is the nominal ruler of Yuzhu, the newly promoted Immortal King of the Haoshan dynasty, and rules over a continent. The Baijian Immortal King is his title. The Tianxing sect, one of the 5 major sects in Yuzhu, is aloof and powerful, and there are some hidden dangers to the stability of the position of the Baijian Immortal King. Therefore, the Baijian Immortal King wants to bring the Tianxing sect under his command. Of course, it is not just the Tianxing sect, there are also the other 4 major sects, and the Baijian Immortal King also wants to do so. Only by bringing all the 5 major sects under his command, or exterminating them, his Immortal King Palace will be the only force in Yuzhu, and also the most powerful force. At that time, he can compete with other Immortal Kings under Haoshan Immortal Dynasty. Human desires are endless, and so is the Immortal King Beizan. Although the Immortal King Beizan has already stood at a high place, he still wants to stand at a higher place. What's more, even among the same Immortal Kings, the competition is very fierce. I'm leaving. However, I still have one more piece of advice for Master Mo. The black-robed man stood up and prepared to leave. Mo Tianxing also stood up, please speak. Tianxing sect, if you still want to exist, it is wise and the only choice to return to the Immortal King. The black-robed man said directly. He. Mo Tianxing heard this, but smiled faintly again, and then said, if that's the case, then is there still Tianxing sect? God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 608. The black-robed man left. He really refused to accept the toast and drank the forfeit. When he left, he thought in his heart that the Immortal King of 100 Battles, now the ruler of Yuzhu, must control all the 5 major sects in his own hands. This Mo Tianxing in front of him was so ungrateful that he would destroy the Tianxing sect together. And looking at the back of the black-robed man leaving, Mo Tianxing's face became fierce. His Tianxing sect had been established for thousands of years and never bowed to any force. Moreover, the Immortal King? His Tianxing sect was not without an Immortal King. The outcome of this game of chess was undecided. On the other side, the thunder in the sky resounded for a moment, but it did not descend after all, as if it was attracted, but inexplicably lost its target again. In the 4th floor of Tianxing Pavilion, the star demon sword in the void in front of Li Hao had completed its transformation. After absorbing the endless magic energy, it became a top-grade immortal weapon. Weird. At this moment, the star demon sword had a more strange feeling. Buzz buzz buzz. But in the next moment, the star demon sword made another clanging sound and stopped swallowing the surrounding demonic energy. Li Hao's heart moved. The star demon sword sent him a message to take him forward. The next moment, Li Hao saw that the star demon sword came directly above his head, and a sharp sword intent was born, and then a barrier appeared directly around Li Hao's body, which directly blocked these demonic energy outside. Even if Li Hao did not use the power of cultivation to resist, these demonic energy could not erode Li Hao at all. Then, the star demon sword turned into a stream of light and went in a direction ahead. Seeing this, Li Hao immediately moved his body and followed the direction of the star demon sword. After just a while, the star demon sword stopped, and the sword body shone with brilliant light, illuminating this place. This is. Li Hao saw the scene in front of him, and his face was shocked again. I saw that a big bell appeared in front of the star demon sword. This big bell was covered with some strange patterns and mysterious words, which was full of a heavy feeling. And judging from the grade of the big bell, it was probably not lower than the grade of the star demon sword. You know, the star demon sword is already a top-grade immortal weapon. If the grade of the big bell in front of him is even higher, what level of treasure should it be? Li Hao's heart trembled. If he could accept it, Li Hao's heart moved and he had some ideas. But soon, Li Hao put an end to this idea that just came up. Because Li Hao found that the endless magic energy was released from the gap under the big bell. Even though he was just standing in front of the bell, Li Hao felt a strong force of suppression coming towards him, as if to suppress him as well. This force of suppression was emanating from the bell. Under the bell, a demon was suppressed. What on earth was it? Li Hao's cultivation was running, and he walked forward with the force of suppression. However, at this moment, dong dong dong. Perhaps because of the existence of the star demon sword, a bell suddenly rang out in the bell. The bell kept shaking, wanting to go towards the star demon sword, but perhaps because the demon was suppressed under it, it couldn't spare the time. At the moment when the bell was shaking, Li Hao saw what was suppressed under the bell. A demon head. Li Hao widened his eyes and said suddenly. Under the bell, a demon head was suppressed. A head full of demonic power. It was unknown which powerful demon head it was, who was suppressing it under the bell, and how long it had been suppressed. After just one glance, Li Hao felt his mind throb, as if he was trapped in a swamp and couldn't get out. Fortunately, Li Hao woke up soon, but he was still in shock. At the moment when the bell trembled because of the appearance of the star demon sword, a mighty demonic power emanated from the demon head. The suppressed demon head seemed to wake up from his deep sleep and wanted to break free from the suppression of the bell. Fortunately, at this moment, the strange patterns and words on the bell suddenly glowed, and appeared around the bell, circling and flying, running in a strange trajectory, as if forming a huge seal, and a powerful suppression avenue enveloped it, which blocked the power of the demon head. Buzz. The heavy bell rang instantly, shaking people's souls. The bell kept shaking, as if it was fighting against the power of the demon. After a while, it stopped and the demon was quiet again. Li Hao was also frightened when he saw this scene. If this demon came out, the consequences would be disastrous and would pose a great threat to himself. Fortunately, there was this big bell, which prevented the disaster from happening. Li Hao quickly put away the star demon sword to prevent the big bell from taking his star demon sword as a possible target. The next moment, a ball of light suddenly appeared in the darkness next to him. It was a passage. Seeing this, Li Hao did not stop and went directly towards the light. Then he entered the passage and disappeared in this space. Just when Li Hao left the 4th floor and appeared on the 5th floor of Tianxin Pavilion. Under the big bell, the suppressed demon head, its face seemed to have an arc at this moment. It was actually smiling. As for the reason, it is unknown. Tianxin Pavilion, 5th floor. Li Hao stood here. But it seemed to be standing in a void starry sky. However, in this starry sky, a towering figure appeared. This figure was wearing white clothes, walking on the sky, just standing there, but it seemed to be above everything, even the whole world was under him. Like a true transcendent saint, extremely proud. That's right, Li Hao felt an extremely proud from this figure. The pride that did not take everything into consideration, standing in the void, as if he was the center of the universe. In addition to pride, there was also a sense of arrogance. Heron stood upright between heaven and earth, not bowing to anyone or anything, and it has been like this since ancient times. Li Hao didn't know who the figure in front of him was, and he couldn't see his specific appearance, but Li Hao was deeply shocked by the scene in front of him. He stood there in a daze, and even forgot to move. God's will, walk on the sky and enforce justice for God. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 609. Heaven walks, walks on heaven and does justice for heaven. At this moment, a magnificent voice resounded in the starry sky, which shocked Li Hao again. This voice was made by this figure, and it kept echoing in Li Hao's ears for a long time. As Li Hao followed this voice, Li Hao seemed to see that this figure in front of him turned into Tao, doing justice for heaven and doing unfair things. At this moment, hearing this voice, Li Hao seemed to understand the meaning of the word heaven walk, which was also the purpose of the founding of the Tianxing sect. Heaven walks vigorously, and a gentleman should strive for self-improvement. Then, this magnificent voice sounded again. This voice seemed to be filled with strange magic, and Li Hao felt a will to strive for self-improvement from the voice. At the same time, Li Hao was even more shocked to see that above this towering figure, there appeared an extraordinary momentum. It was a majestic momentum, like a mountain river, surging endlessly, and there was also a momentum that embraced everything, with a great mind. That momentum was like materialization, visible to the naked eye, filled with pure white light, and contained an extremely upright spirit, which could make all evil retreat and eliminate all evil. This was the majestic spirit. The next moment, the figure dissipated and turned directly into a ray of pure white light. When Li Hao was still in a daze, the light actually came directly towards Li Hao, at an extremely fast speed, so fast that Li Hao didn't even react. Then, this ray of pure white light actually drilled directly into Li Hao's eyebrows, causing Li Hao to suddenly tremble again. This sudden scene made Li Hao's eyes widen, and he was even caught off guard. Li Hao hurriedly checked his body and found nothing abnormal. However, Li Hao knew that something had entered his body. However, in the next moment, Li Hao was shocked to find that the power of cultivation in his body was running uncontrollably, as if a strange power was entering his body and integrating into his immortal power. What was going on? Just as Li Hao was shocked, his spirit also became dazed at this moment, and some pictures kept appearing in his mind. As these pictures appeared, Li Hao fell into a deep sleep. Li Hao seemed to have a very long dream. In the dream, he turned into a scholar, studying hard, full of vigor, and working hard to obtain fame. In the end, he found that everything was so dark. In the end, the scholar held a long sword in his hand, vowing to stand majestically between heaven and earth, and vowing to cut off all the injustice in the world. The majestic heaven and earth, righteousness forever. Just like that, I don't know how long it took. In the dream, Li Hao seemed to have experienced a life. On this day, the dream ended. Li Hao opened his eyes, still a little dazed. With the return of consciousness, Li Hao saw the situation around him clearly. At this moment, he was lying on a stone, with a clear stream flowing slowly beside him, and not far in front of him, a loft still stood there quietly. Tianxin Pavilion was still there. But he had already come out. That dream was so real. Li Hao couldn't help but sigh. Obviously, he was in a dream before, but this dream was so real. Huh? How could my cultivation be so much stronger? Then, Li Hao made another surprised sound, because Li Hao was surprised to find that his cultivation was actually a high-grade celestial fairy, and he was only one step away from the realm of golden fairy. You know, not long ago, he had just broken through to the realm of low-grade celestial fairy, but now he is already a high-grade celestial fairy, directly crossing two realms, which is not so fast even if he rides a rocket. Moreover, there was something more in his body, that was a wisp of righteousness. This righteousness had been integrated into his spiritual power, and had been controlled by Li Hao, and could be easily displayed, just like performing a Taoist method. This was really an unexpected surprise. Li Hao did not expect that he would gain a lot from climbing up the Tianxin Pavilion. First, the level of formation and alchemy was improved, then a set of powerful Taoist Tianxin 9 hammers, followed by the advancement of the Star Demon Sword, and finally a breakthrough in his cultivation realm, and a wisp of righteousness. The Son of Destiny, that's all. Li Hao stood up and could clearly feel that he had an extremely powerful force in his body, and it seemed that it was no problem to overwhelm the mountains and seas. He took a look at the surrounding situation, and there was no abnormality at all. The old man in green seemed to have not come back yet, and he didn't know what the other party had done, and whether he had not come back yet. There was only a Tianxin Pavilion inside, and he couldn't stay here all the time, although the old man asked him to guard the door. Li Hao thought about it and decided to go out and take a look first. Immediately, Li Hao moved and went directly to the outside of the bamboo forest. The surrounding forbidden formations no longer caused any trouble to Li Hao. However, at this moment, the bamboo forest in front and the thick fog dissipated directly, and a stream of light came straight towards the side, and then a figure appeared in front of Li Hao. This figure was dressed in green, and it looked like an old man. Who else could it be but the old man in green before? When Li Hao saw this old man, his heart was shocked. He immediately said to the old man respectfully, "Senior, you are back." The old man in green looked at Li Hao, his face solemn. Although Li Hao restrained his cultivation, Li Hao still felt a sense of being seen through at this moment, as if his whole body was exposed under the eyes of the old man in green. "I came back a long time ago. But you are lucky," the old man said lightly, and then nodded. "Not bad, not bad, you are actually a high-grade celestial being, and you are qualified to become my disciple." "Li Hao? What do you mean?" Li Hao was surprised when he heard this, and of course there was a touch of joy that he couldn't suppress. While Li Hao was stunned, the old man in green was furious again and said to Li Hao, "Why are you still standing there? Why don't you become my disciple? I have been practicing Taoism for thousands of years, and up to now, I have only accepted 2 disciples. Disciple Li Hao, Happy New Year, Master." Immediately, Li Hao performed a master-disciple ceremony to Li Hao. Although Li Hao had only seen the old man in green only once, this was the second time, but Li Hao could feel a sense of uprightness from him, which was a noble spirit. The old man in green also had a noble spirit. Such a person would definitely not be an evil person. Coupled with his unfathomable cultivation, he might be even more powerful than the sect master and qualified to be his master. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 610. Of course, the system also prompts this way. The old man in green in front of him was no ordinary person. The system's previous prompt was to ask him to become his master. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, you succeeded in becoming a disciple and received the reward, Immortal Demon Skill. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, you have received a reward, Taoism add 100 years. At this moment, another mechanical voice suddenly sounded in Li Hao's mind. It was the system's beep that reminded Li Hao that the reward was in place. But this time, the system's rewards are not like before, one after another, but there is only one reward. Immortal demon power. When an extremely large amount of information poured into Li Hao's mind, Li Hao directly understood it and knew how to perform it. The next moment, after learning the information about this immortal devil skill, Li Hao was shocked again. This is actually a magic spell with unknown grade and unknown power. However, Li Hao had no doubt about the power of this non-magical immortal method. Because this is not only a simple magic method, but also a method of cultivating the Dharma body and immortal appearance. The name of this Dharma body immortal phase is called Immortal Demon Phase. Li Hao was stunned. The system actually rewarded me with the Dharmakaya immortal appearance once again. A long time ago, the system rewarded him with a Dharma body and 8 pagoda bodies. Even with Li Hao's current strength, he could only display 4 pagodas. You must know that between heaven and earth, there are 108 Dharmakaya immortal appearances. Each Dharmakaya immortal appearance possesses great power. Among these 108 Dharmakaya immortal appearances, the top 12 are among them. This Dharmakaya immortal form is the most powerful. Among them, there are 9 types of Dharmakaya and 3 types of immortal phases, which are called the 9 Dharma and 3 phases. It is said that as long as these 9 Dharma and 3 aspects are integrated into one body, one can glimpse beyond the eternal life and the transcendent path. The previous 8 pagoda bodies are one of the 9 Dharma and 3 phases. The most important thing is that the Dharma body immortal appearance and the immortal demon appearance that I have now obtained are actually one of the 9 Dharmas and 3 appearances, and one of the top 12 Dharma body immortal appearances. It is unique for one person to have 2 Dharmakaya immortal appearances in the entire immortal realm, let alone 2 top-ranked Dharmakaya immortal appearances. Li Hao was extremely shocked, but he soon calmed down. Li Hao has gradually become accustomed to this. At this moment, Li Hao's cultivation realm also improved again. The 100 years of Taoist rewards directly allowed Li Hao's cultivation to successfully enter the realm of Golden Immortal, and it was not just the first level. Well, Situnan, from today on, you are my brother's 3 disciples. Seeing Li Hao becoming a disciple, the old man in green nodded and then said with satisfaction, Situnan. Li Hao remembered this name. This was his first master, and perhaps his only master. Immediately, Li Hao asked Situnan again, Master, who are my 2 senior brothers or my senior sister and the others? As soon as Li Hao said these words, the aura of the old man in green in front of him froze. At this moment, the temperature of the entire space seemed to have dropped a bit. Immediately, I heard Situnan in front of me say in a deep voice again, dead. When Li Hao heard this, his expression couldn't help but change, and his brows furrowed. He didn't expect this to be the result. Dead. Yes, 1 senior brother and 1 senior sister are both dead. Situnan said directly again. How did you die? Li Hao asked. Situnan said without any concealment, he was killed. Immediately he looked at Li Hao again. Now, even if you know, you can't take revenge. It's better not to know, even if you are me. Situnan didn't finish speaking, but Li Hao had already heard what the other party meant, and a wave of panic suddenly arose in his heart. Even the master can't take revenge? If the old man in green clothes in front of me can't do it, then how powerful this enemy must be, or what kind of terrifying force it is. Li Hao didn't ask any more questions. Asking would be of no help. He couldn't change anything now, and he couldn't do much. He would naturally know it when he should know it in the future. Let's go out. Just recently, an immortal king's cave appeared and it caused a lot of noise. Go and have a look. Maybe you can gain something. Situnan said to Li Hao again. Immortal King's Cave? Li Hao's heart moved. Yes. Li Hao nodded, but did not leave directly. Instead, he looked at the old man in green in front of him. "Why don't you get out of here?" Seeing Li Hao's appearance, Situnan asked directly. Li Hao suddenly smiled, and then said weakly, "Well, master, don't you have any greeting gifts for this apprenticeship? And there should be many strong people in the Immortal King's cave, right? Don't give the disciples 2 pieces of self-defense thing. If you want something, you must be thick-skinned." Hearing Li Hao's words, Situnan's face was speechless, and he said in a deep voice to Li Hao, "With your cultivation, the supreme Taoist bones, and the aura of awe-inspiringness, you will be able to meet a strong man at the golden immortal level they are all capable of fighting. Besides, the golden dragon and jade metal I gave you is a self-defense tool. If you encounter danger, I will sense it." "Well, then the golden dragon jade tablet is a self-defense thing?" Li Hao really didn't know this, and thought it was just a status symbol. "All right." Li Hao sighed and said, thinking that this cheap master in front of him would not give him anything. Little did he know that in the next moment, Situnan pointed directly at Li Hao, and a sharp sword energy appeared on his fingertips, which carried the power of uprightness and self-improvement, and then came towards Li Hao. Li Hao subconsciously raised his hand, but did not feel the danger. This ray of sword energy actually entered Li Hao's body directly with Li Hao's palm. This ray of gentleman sword energy, even the peak Xianxian figure can't bear it. Situnan's words were directly transmitted to Li Hao's ears, but it shocked Li Hao's heart again, and of course excited. This sword energy can't even be withstood by the peak Xianxian strongman, how powerful it is. Xianxian, that is a powerful person, even in the entire Tianxing sect, there are not many Xianxian strongmen. In this case, then below the Immortal King, isn't it easy for me to walk sideways? Just a sword energy is so powerful, how terrifying is the strength of this cheap master in front of him? Li Hao couldn't help guessing in his heart, and didn't think about it anymore. The stronger the master's strength is, the bigger his backing will naturally be. "Thank you, master." Li Hao didn't hide the smile on his face and said directly to Situnan. "You can get out now." Situnan said directly. Without waiting for Li Hao to respond, Situnan waved his hand towards Li Hao. Suddenly, a terrifying storm was born, directly wrapped around Li Hao, and then pushed Li Hao out. This force left Li Hao no room to resist. When Li Hao stabilized his body, he had already left the back mountain of Tianxing sect and appeared under the main peak of Tianxing section. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 611. As soon as Li Hao came out, he saw many figures heading in one direction. Is this what happened? Li Hao had a doubt in his heart, and he was even more curious. He moved towards the direction where these people were going. After walking for a while, Li Hao saw a familiar figure. It was a beautiful figure wearing red clothes, especially her appearance, which was stunning and impressive. He has a curvy figure, and his whole body is filled with a fierce and extraordinary temperament. No matter where he stands, he is the center of attention, and no matter where he goes, he looks like no one is allowed to enter. She is like an iceberg, giving people a chill that can repel people thousands of miles away. She is more like the mysterious lady from the 9 heavens descending to earth, not eating the fireworks of the world. I have a destiny with this woman in red. Is this the second time we've met? The first time was the last time I asked him to lead me to the forbidden area, and now it was the second time. Well, the cultivation of this woman in red seems to have become stronger than before. Li Hao couldn't see through it. There should be treasures on her body that cover up her cultivation. Li Hao remembered the name of the woman in red, Mu Hongluan. A very nice name that lives up to its name. At this moment, Mu Hongluan was heading in the direction ahead and did not notice Li Hao. Li Hao didn't hesitate at all, speeding up and chasing after him. Senior Sister Fairy. Li Hao came up behind Mu Hongluan and shouted directly that he had a pretty good impression of Mu Hongluan and that he was a nice person. Hearing Li Hao's voice, Mu Hongluan stopped and turned around to look at Li Hao. Within the Tianxing sect, she had always been a loner, and rarely talked to others. Of course, the disciples in these sects did not dare to come up and strike up a conversation, and no one had ever dared to call her that. No, it seems to have happened. Huh? Is that you? Mu Hongluan frowned, turned her head and looked at Li Hao. She couldn't help but be startled, and said with some surprise, and then looked at Li Hao's body. Isn't this the guy who entered the forbidden area behind the mountain? Mu Hongluan's memory was somewhat profound. I remember that at that time, she was preparing to watch a show, but she didn't expect that this guy actually went in. After these 3 years, she could no longer see through the guy in front of her, but her intuition told Mu Hongluan that the young man in front of her was already extraordinary and extremely powerful. How is this possible? Last time, did you enter the forbidden area? Mu Hongluan couldn't help but ask Li Hao, wanting to confirm. Yeah. Li Hao nodded. When Mu Hongluan heard Li Hao nod, she felt a rare wave of emotion in her heart. You have been in the forbidden area for the past 3 years. Immediately afterwards, Mu Hongluan asked again. Huh? Has it been 3 years already? When Li Hao heard Mu Hongluan's words, he was stunned and asked in surprise. Otherwise? Mu Hongluan said calmly. When Li Hao heard this, he was also surprised. Has it turned out that 3 years have passed? In other words, he has been sleeping for 3 years? That should be the case. By the way, Senior Sister Mu, where are you going? What are you doing? Li Hao said again. As soon as Li Hao said these words, Mu Hongluan was even more shocked. She had an extraordinary position in the Tianxing sect and knew some things in the forbidden area. This guy actually stayed there for 3 years, maybe by chance. Mu Hongluan couldn't help but think more highly of Li Hao in front of her. The Immortal King's Cave has appeared, and the sect will send people there. Many people want to follow the sect, but the places are limited. Mu Hongluan briefly told Li Hao the general situation, and Li Hao understood immediately. When the Immortal King's Cave appears, the sect will send people to investigate, and there will be sect elders leading the team. However, the number of places is limited. It is said that if you want to enter the Immortal King's Cave, you must have the secret key of the cave. Moreover, the Immortal King's Cave has restrictions, and only those with cultivation levels below the 5th grade Golden Immortal can enter. And the secret keys collected by Tianxing sect can only allow 11 disciples of the Immortal sect to enter. Obviously, some of these disciples went there because they wanted to get a spot, while others just wanted to join in the fun. Who is that guy? He is actually talking to Senior Sister Mu. All these little handyman disciples actually dare to strike up a conversation with Senior Sister Mu. Don't Senior Sister Mu never talk to men except Senior Brother Qin Tian. When the surrounding disciples of the Tianxing sect saw the scene where Li Hao and Mu Hongluan were talking, they all let out a voice of surprise. Mu Hongluan is a direct disciple of the leader of the Tianxing section. She is good-looking and has strong cultivation. She is so noble in their Tianxing sect, but in front of her, she is having such a close conversation with this handyman disciple. This is something that should not be done in the eyes of everyone, even if it makes the people around here jealous. And right now, look, it's Senior Brother Qin Tian. I really mean Cao, Cao is here. Senior Brother Qin Tian is also here. This time, there will be one less place to go to the Immortal King's Cave. There were screams of surprise again among the crowd, and everyone saw a young man in black robe walking towards the side. This young man in black robe has an extraordinary appearance. Although he is not as handsome as Li Hao, he has good features and can be regarded as a handsome and talented person. Moreover, this young man also has an extraordinary temperament, giving people a heavy and steady feeling. I saw this young man in black robe walking straight in front of Li Hao and Mu Hongluan. His eyes fell directly on Mu Hongluan without even looking at Li Hao. When Mu Hongluan saw this young man in black robe approaching, he greeted him proactively, "Elder brother." The man in black robe in front of her is her senior brother, and can also be said to be the senior brother of the entire Tianxing sect disciples, because he is Qin Tian, the direct disciple of the Tianxing sect leader Mo Tianxing. Although he looks young, he is actually over 100 years old. Of course, at this age, he is considered very young among monks. After all, the lifespan of a monk is very long. As long as nothing unexpected happens, it is not a problem to live hundreds or thousands of years. Master and the others are already waiting. Let's go there quickly. The emergence of the Immortal King's cave this time is a great opportunity. We must seize it. Qin Tian said directly to Mu Hongluan. Upon hearing this, Mu Hongluan nodded in agreement. Then, Qin Tian turned around and walked forward without even looking at Li Hao from beginning to end. Neglect. This is complete neglect. It was as if the handyman disciple in front of him was completely out of Qin Tian's eyes. Later, Mu Hongluan also followed. Seeing this scene, Li Hao's eyes narrowed slightly, and then a faint arc appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Have you been ignored?" Li Hao murmured, but a flash of light flashed in his heart. This young man in black robe is very proud. The feeling of pride seems to come from his bones. However, people do have the capital to be proud. Li Hao couldn't tell the specific cultivation level of this guy, but Li Hao felt a huge sense of threat from him. This Qin Tian is probably a powerful golden immortal, but I don't know exactly how high a level he has reached. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 612. This Qin Tian never looked at Li Hao from beginning to end, as if he didn't take Li Hao seriously at all. He was just a chore's disciple, naturally he didn't deserve to be taken seriously by him. Looking at the other party's leaving figure, Li Hao's mouth corners showed a faint arc. He was just a disciple taught by the sect master, what was there to be proud of? Similarly, Li Hao didn't take the other party seriously, and didn't care too much at all. Li Hao then went in the direction where the two left. I also want to go to the Immortal King Cave Mansion. That cheap master asked me to go there to practice, wouldn't I have to fight for the quota myself? After a while, Li Hao came to a huge square. This square is the central square of Tianxing sect, located under the main peak. At this moment, there were already many figures gathered on this square, at least not less than 1,000 people, most of them were wearing the clothes of the Tianxing sect, including direct disciples, core disciples, inner disciples, and outer disciples, and of course, the lowest ranking menial disciples. Although menial disciples were not allowed to go to most places in the Tianxing sect, it was not a problem for them to come to this square to see the excitement. Of course, there were also some proud figures who did not wear the clothes of the sect, but wore their own clothes, being unique. As for the clothes, the Tianxing sect did not force the disciples. However, the clothes of the sect were an excellent magical instrument, and many disciples of the sect actually lived in a tight budget, so they did not have too many clothes, so they could only wear the clothes of the sect. It's really lively. Li Hao couldn't help but sigh when he saw the scene in front of him. I'm afraid that 90% of the disciples of the entire Tianxing sect gathered here. Li Hao saw that there were some towering stone pillars on the main hall of this square, and there were some seats on the stone pillars, overlooking the entire square from a high place. These seats are obviously reserved for the big guys in the sect. Li Hao saw that some figures were already sitting on these seats, and all of them were filled with a majestic aura. Several peak masters of Tianxin 9 peaks have almost arrived. But the top position is still empty at this moment. Everyone knows who this position belongs to. Tianxin Sect Master, Mo Tianxin. In the square, more and more figures continue to arrive here, and then find their own positions to stand. At a certain moment, there was a thunder in the void, and everyone saw a sturdy figure appear, and then directly landed on a seat. This is a middle-aged man, with purple thunder light flowing around his body. The whole person seems to be bathed in thunder, giving people a violent aura. It's Zhao Tianli, the master of Benli Peak. Master Zhao has also appeared, only the master of Yun Peak and the sect master are missing. Immediately, a series of uproarious voices came from the mouths of the disciples of Tianxin sect around. The middle-aged man who appeared was Zhao Tianli, the master of Benli Peak, one of the 9 peaks, a powerful thunder cultivator. Not long after Zhao Tianli arrived. Not far away, a blue bird flapped its wings and came. On the back of the blue bird, there were 2 beautiful figures, coming from far away and soon coming to the top of the square. After seeing the 2 beautiful figures on the back of the blue bird, everyone exclaimed again. It's Master Xiao of the Jade Maiden Peak. That's the senior sister of the Jade Maiden Peak, Lu Mei. Senior sister Lu is so beautiful. If I could have a Taoist partner like senior sister Lu, it would be worth dying for. Everyone's attention was attracted by the 2 people who appeared. One was a beautiful woman who looked noble, and the other was a stunningly beautiful girl. Especially the beauty of this girl was as natural as it was without any decoration, and she also had a natural charm on her body, not seductive, but charming. Standing there, graceful, even if she didn't speak or move at all, she was full of a special temperament that made people fascinated. The 2 beautiful figures that appeared were Xiao Yuruo, the master of the Jade Maiden Peak, and her direct disciple, Lu Mei. This Lu Mei, as her name suggests, is one of the famous beauties of the Tianxin sect and the goddess in the hearts of countless male disciples of the sect. Afterwards, Xiao Yuruo sat directly on her seat as the leader of the peak, while Lu Mei landed gracefully in the square. At this moment, there were still some young and proud figures standing in the center of the square, and Li Hao saw some people he had seen before from these figures. Shen Bingzin, Ye Lang, Wang Daifa, Long Kui. Those who entered the Tianxin sect with Li Hao were among them. There were also Qin Tian, Mu Hongluan, Su Man, and others who were standing there before. Of course, there were some proud figures who looked young, but they were full of powerful momentum. Senior brother Song from Tianjian Peak, senior brother Zhang from Hutu Peak, senior brother Chu from Hanti Peak. Senior sister Shui from Daiquan Peak, senior sister Yu from Lingmu Peak. Oh my god, so many senior brothers and sisters who are rarely seen on weekdays have appeared. So many direct disciples, and core disciples. In the crowd, there were voices of uproar. Today, the geniuses who are rarely seen on weekdays have appeared one after another at this moment. They are the direct disciples and core disciples. There are not even 100, but also 80. And the purpose of their appearance is self-evident. They are all here for the quota in the Immortal King's Cave. Li Hao stood among the crowd. Although he looked outstanding, he was still inconspicuous because there were too many people at the scene. In addition, Li Hao was wearing the clothes of a handyman disciple, so no one paid attention to him. Li Hao looked at these figures and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It seems that the Immortal King's Cave quota is not so easy to obtain this time. Just when Li Hao was thinking like this, a figure seemed to appear out of thin air, directly appearing on the highest seat. This is a middle-aged man dressed as a Confucian scholar. Standing there, he gives people a sense of detachment. Seeing this middle-aged Confucian scholar, Everyone was immediately shocked, and then they all saluted the middle-aged man. "Meet the sect master! Meet the sect master! Meet the sect master!" Countless Tianxing sect disciples showed respectful expressions and bowed to the middle-aged Confucian scholar who appeared in front of them. The person in front of him is clearly the leader of Tianxing sect, Mo Tianxing. Mo Tianxing glanced across the square, looking at the high-spirited expressions of the disciples in the square, and couldn't help but nod. If the disciples are strong, the sect is strong; if the disciples are weak, the sect is weak. As the saying goes, the waves behind the Yangtze River push the waves ahead, and the future will be dominated by young people. The disciples of this generation of Tianxing sect are very talented, but they need time to grow, and these old bones are the backers of these little guys and must protect them as they grow. I just hope that these disciples will grow up as soon as possible and become independent. Right now, there is another good opportunity, and it is also the only opportunity he can get. Looking at the disciples below, Mo Tianxing said directly, "I believe everyone has got the news. Why are we gathering here today?" Then, Mo Tianxing continued. "Yes, as everyone thought, the ruins of an immortal king's cave appeared in the land of Yuzhu. If you can enter the immortal king's cave, you will have a great opportunity, but of course it will also be accompanied by danger. However, this immortal king's cave has a strong restriction. Only monks below the 5th grade golden immortal are allowed to enter, and there are also quota restrictions. After discussion, our Tianxing sect only has 11 places. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning." Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 613. What? 11 places. There are so many people in our sect, but there are only 11 places. It seems that we definitely don't have a place this time. When did we have a place? Who told us that our talents are rubbish? Even if they are direct disciples, there are not enough places. And it's just one place. Anyone below the 5th grade golden immortal can participate. I'm afraid that these 10 places are only for golden immortals. It's not our turn anyway, so just watch the show. When Mo Tianxing said this, it immediately caused an uproar. You know, there are thousands of disciples in the Tianxing sect, and even the people who come here now are hundreds of people. Who doesn't want to go to this good opportunity like the Immortal King Cave? However, there are only 11 places. Even the direct disciples here are more than 11, and there are also those core disciples and inner disciples. They are all arrogant and proud, so naturally no one will give in to anyone else. For these 11 places, I'm afraid there will be a lot of competition. Okay, I won't say much. I think everyone wants to get a place. But the places are limited, only the capable ones can get it. Mo Tianxing looked at the scene in front of him, but he said directly, everyone has the opportunity. If you want these places and meet the conditions, just stand up. In this world of cultivation where the weak are the prey of the strong, everything depends on strength, and the bigger the fist, the harder the truth. As Mo Tianxing's voice fell. Bang! One after another, the figures all stepped forward at the same time and stood out. There were at least 100 figures in unison. Seeing this scene, Mo Tianxing's mouth corners appeared again. This is the effect he wanted. You still have a little too many people. You should decide for yourselves. Mo Tianxing said in a deep voice. After the voice fell, Mo Tianxing waved his hand directly towards the center of the square. Immediately, a powerful force of cultivation was released into Mo Tianxing's body. Then, everyone was shocked to see that some spiritual light appeared in the center of the square, dividing the huge square into 10 areas, as if 10 battle platforms were marked out. The purpose of Mo Tianxing's move is self-evident. Those who want to compete for a place should enter the battle platform. The last person to stay can get a place, but they have to come one by one. As Mo Tianxing said this, everyone's heart was shaken again. For those Tianjiao who wanted to compete for a place, a sharp light burst out in their eyes, and for the onlookers around their teammates, the good show has begun. However, as to why there are 10 battle platforms, everyone is a little confused, but they can't think too much at this moment. I want a place, do you have any objections? If you have any objections, come and fight directly. At this time, a Tianjiao spoke. The person who spoke was the young man named Qin Tian, with a sense of arrogance and domineering in his voice. Qin Tian walked out proudly and stood directly on a battle platform. When everyone saw this scene, they were shocked again. Sure enough, senior brother Qin is also going to compete for a spot. Since senior brother Qin has come out, who dares to compete with him? He is probably at least a 4th grade golden immortal. As soon as Qin Tian finished speaking, he went to the battle stage and directly stated that he wanted a spot. His tone was very loud. However, no one present refuted, and no one stood on Qin Tian's battle stage. Obviously, no one challenged Qin Tian. Of course, this was also expected by many people. This Qin Tian is the eldest disciple of the sect master. Although he rarely takes action, there is no doubt that he is powerful. A few years ago, a genius in the 3rd grade golden immortal realm challenged Qin Tian, but was directly suppressed by Qin Tian with one punch, and the opponent was also a direct disciple. Since then, Qin Tian has never taken action. Since senior brother Qin wants one, I'll take one of the remaining spots too. Everyone has no objection, right? No one challenged Qin Tian, but someone stood on the 2nd battle stage. It was a beautiful figure wearing a fiery red dress, it was Mu Hongluan. When Mu Hongluan stood out, many people's faces changed again. This Mu Hongluan is also the direct disciple of the sect master, so her strength is naturally not weak. If she wants another spot, there will be only a few spots left. I want a spot too, come and fight me if you don't agree. As another voice came out, everyone's eyes fell on a sturdy young man again. It's brother Zhang from Ho-Tu Peak. Go and fight him. He's a physical cultivator. With his physical body and the Ho-Tu magic, who the hell can beat him? He's just a meat shield. All his skills are defense. Everyone recognized this young man, his name is Zhang Kui, he is a direct disciple of Ho-Tu Peak, a physical cultivator, and his training is also defensive. If you go up and fight him, you will suffer. I also want a place. If you don't agree, ask the sword on my back first. After Zhang Kui, someone else stood on an empty battle platform and said proudly. This time, it was a young man who was also wearing the clothes of a direct disciple, with a long sword on his back, and his whole body was filled with a fierce aura. From his appearance and aura, it is not difficult to tell that the young man in front of him is a sword cultivator. It's senior brother Song from Tianjian Peak. It's said that his cultivation has reached the level of a 4th grade golden immortal. His understanding of the way of swordsmanship has even reached a state of perfection. Similarly, this young man is also a well-known genius of Tianxing section Song Shang, a direct disciple of Tianjian Peak, is also a powerful sword cultivator. And as Song Shang stepped forward, 4 of the 10 battle stages were gone. I also want a spot. If you don't accept it, come and do it. This time, the person who spoke out was Chu Feng from Han Taifeng. He was also a direct disciple and stood directly in the 5th battle platform. I also want a spot. This 7th spot belongs to me. As the voices of 2 women came out one after another, everyone saw 2 beautiful figures standing directly on the 6th and 7th battle platforms. Shui Linger from Daiquan Peak and Yu Linglong from Lingmu Peak are both direct disciples, and their strength is at the golden immortal level. I want the 8th spot. A domineering voice sounded, and a young man in purple robes walked to the 8th battle platform. This young man was as strong as Zhang Kui on the thick earth peak, but the difference was that in terms of temperament, Zhang Kui gave people the feeling of a thick human shield, but the young man in front of him gave people a violent feeling. Bai Lifeng's Lei Zhan is a cultivator of thunder. Just like that, out of 10 battle platforms, only 2 were left. Moreover, the people who stood up in front were still not challenged. The 9th spot will go to the little girl. I guess no one will take action against her, right? At this time, a woman's gentle voice sounded again, and a beautiful figure slowly walked to the 9th battle platform. Hearing this voice and seeing this beautiful figure, everyone couldn't help but feel pity. They couldn't bear to do something to this woman, let alone break the heart of the woman in front of them. Some sect disciples even there was a sound of indignation. Senior Sister Lu is so beautiful, so she should definitely get a spot. Whoever dares to rob Senior Sister Lu will be more anxious for me. Whoever dares to attack Senior Sister Lu, don't blame me for being rude. These disciples seemed to be fascinated by Lu Mei at this moment. They actually shouted to be Lu Mei's licking dogs and rushed to fight for Lu Mei. Haha. This girl's charm skills are even stronger. As expected of Master Xiao's personal disciple. Seeing the scene below, a peak leader couldn't help but speak out. Of course. Lu Mei is naturally charming. No one in the same situation is immune to her influence. Even people with a higher level than her will fall under her skirt if they are not careful. Hearing this, Xiao Yuruo, the master of Jade Girl Peak, said very proudly that Lu Mei was her proud disciple, with extraordinary talent and beauty, and he would probably surpass her.